Now, the reason you couldn't hear me, listen, listen, let me just say this. Hold on. Okay. Everybody calm the fuck down. Okay? All right. Hey, listen, Charlie, do me a favor. Yeah. The new intern, Garrett. Garrett? Okay. Garrett's fucking fired. Yeah. No, I don't care. COVID or not. Get your fucking box. Get your fern. Get the fuck out of here, Garrett. That's not a great entrance. That's not a great start. Listen, let's start this way. We're gonna have to start all over again. And so we're gonna go ahead and do it. Let's pretend that first 30 seconds didn't even happen. Let's go. Boom, 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 boom. Boom, 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 boom. That, of course, is the theme song to the 1960s classic television spy show, I Spy, starring Robert Culp and Bill Pudding Pops Cosby. Okay. Oh, right. That means that the thing isn't there anymore. Yeah, I was just doing all sorts of like mime. Woo! There. Hey, look. This is a thing called smoke and mirrors. Uh, wow. And I promise you, Garrett is fired. So that's not going to happen again. That's not going to happen again. And uh, anyway, hi. This is a project that was born of the age of COVID and all of us being here, trapped together, and a promise that I made to myself that I would try to have some sort of social intercourse happening in my life, despite the fact that we have to take such prophylactic measures as masks and keeping ourselves away from one another. And it has been suggested by some of the viewers right now that since we are going ahead and starting late, we may as well puff again. So Jessica, I think you have a hell of a point. I think we ought to do that. Let's do it. Uh, Always happy to do that. Not a problem. Not a problem at all. Um, Man, sometimes things don't start the way you think they're going to, and sometimes they don't end the way you think they're going to, including this period of self isolation. And if one of the reasons that you don't know how it's going to happen is that you have shit leadership, it can be scary. Let's just say it. I don't know about you, but hearing today that Dr. Fauci says that all these cute ideas around we're going back to work in May, September at the earliest. And to the depth that what I can tell you is that major companies across the globe are alerting their staffs that it's going to be until at least September before they're going back to their offices. And so, what I would say to you again is, unless you're a distance worker, don't plan on it. Don't plan on it. That was what I saw happening today. Yesterday is where I got my cup of fresh brewed male tears as I watched their president melt down at the sign of strong women who would not allow him to be as racist as he wanted, so he ran away. Salty. That was gross. You know, that was gross. But it is what it is. One more time, just for good measure. So, well, it is true that Rand Paul and his folks are saying that Dr. Fauci is not the end all be all, and that's absolutely true. The Grim Reaper will be. So we'll see how this plays out if these assholes keep going out and doing their little their little ground push-ups and getting their little haircuts and all the things. We'll see how it plays out, I guess. Remember, I want to talk about being an accidental asshole. Like when I accidentally started today without sound, or how we accidentally started yesterday when Garrett, who is the one who's out, was stupid enough to leave the runner up, not for the minute and a half that we talked about, but for 3.5 minutes nearly before the broadcast started, before the chit chat started. That's too much time. In particular, before we have a formal theme song. So that's why Garrett's fired. For those of you who are wondering what is happening in terms of theme song, what we're doing is each day choosing a different theme song from childhood. And today was the theme song from Get Smart. And so we're going to be doing a different theme song every day, and I figure that if I call it by the wrong name, that it will prevent any possibility of me being sued because I sing so terribly off key that there's very little chance that the authors of said songs will recognize them and try to get any goodies out of me pockets where there are none. I have no goodies in there. None at all. Oh wait, no, I do have one goodie. One goodie. That's for Trump. Okay, but that's the secret. We're just gonna keep that in there. So being an accidental asshole is a thing that happens to all of us. It happened to me today. I think that was a great beginning, and and the thing is, some jokes work several times, and so far, I've gotten to enjoy mine at least twice, and it's beautiful. It's beautiful. We're sharing. We're sharing. Listen. The accidental assholeness of what happened today. There was another time in my life that I was an accidental asshole that I want to reveal to you. I don't know if you have ever had the opportunity to look at Sting. There's so many reasons to laugh at Sting that he does that are funny, that are silly. Hearing about his tantric sex life and that being the thing for which he is most famous at this point, that he is a septuagenarian. In spite of the police, in spite of Dream of the Blue Turtles, I think that is wild. So that's silly. Another thing that I thought to be silly once in my life was the way that Sting claps. So if you've never seen it, if you've never seen this before, if you're watching, only if you're watching this on a computer. If you're watching this on your phone, don't stop doing what you're doing. Look at it after. Okay, you're going to see that what I'm saying is true. But do look at just look up Sting clapping, and you're going to see a thing that I had never at this point in my life seen. And so what you see is Sting in a tuxedo preparing to applaud another artist, and he holds his hands and begins to applaud thusly. I thought that was the most hilarious thing I had ever seen in my life. I thought this was fucking phenomenal. Oh my God. I heard about it from John Hodgman on his podcast. And so I started telling Judge John Hodgman. And so I started telling everybody with whom I came into contact for the next, I'm going to say 72 hours or so. Holy shit. Look at Sting. Look at Sting. Look at Sting. Look at him doing this and saying it's clapping and applauding. That's great. That's not how you clap. Ha 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 ha. He's an asshole. Ha 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 ha. Then somebody I knew said to me, "Hey, I don't know if you know," and this is somebody. I'll explain the context of why they happen to know what they said to me. I don't know if you happen to know, but for autistic folk, the thunder of applause is quite a lot, which is why in a lot of communities where there are folks who are neuroatypical, you will see a lot of this for applause, right? You'll see sign language, American Sign Language in particular for applause. What you rarely see is that yeah, woo! You rarely see this kind of thing happen in autistic communities, and that is because it is a level of sensory overload that creates panic, overwhelm, and distress bordering on physical pain. So, folks within the community know that the appropriate way to applaud is to separate your top fingers and only applaud with the what is that, the balls of your hands? I don't know what you call that. The pads, and to do that so that it is not a deafening occurrence for our neuroatypical friends, and then maybe Sting actually knows what's up and or has somebody autistic in his life, and so knows that this is the appropriate way to applaud if what we're doing is trying to lower the bars of access for folks and increase inclusion for everybody, Captain Equity. And the person who told me this happened to also have been the parent of a neuroatypical child who needed for applause to look like what Sting did. Asshole. So evidently, people just doing things differently is not that funny and is not really a joke. The evolution of comedy is a thing to behold and to live through. You know, I I went to school in the '80s, and as I did disclose the other day, did introduce my daughter, of course, to Eddie Murphy's classic song, the first of his many ego recordings to have happened in his life, but the first and perhaps most important one, "Boogie in Your Butt." What I did not and would not play for her ever in history, though, would have been the rest of Eddie Murphy's first album, which included the classic bit about queer folks, in which he says some very very lively things that. So what I'm saying is I'm sorry about the thing. I'm sorry, and this is great. And hey, assholes, quit clapping so loud. Don't be an accidental asshole. I'm so sorry. So yeah, so uh, Fauci says we got to stay home at least till September. So I'll be home till September. I'll be home till September. Oh my God, yo. I'll be home till September. January, February, March, April, May. Hey, I was thinking the other day about my tia. I was thinking about my tia Silvia Martinez. A lot of you may know, if you know me at all, you know that I have an over enunciation of all Spanish words. This is because of my mother. I have an over enunciation of all English words. This is because of my mother. And I have an over enunciation of some New York words. This is because of an inferiority complex I had because I grew up as a black child in Boulder, Colorado, and I thought it'd be very important that I sound more like my father than that I sound like the white kids I grew up around, which is why I know that this beverage is pronounced coffee. So go fuck yourself if you don't think so. Hence the stew, the vernacular stew that I present to you now, in terms of my accent. That should answer quite a few questions. So I was thinking about my tia in the same way that I was thinking about my mom, and thinking about this wonderful thing that is true, that I am actually surprisingly very glad that they are dead, because this would kill them. Fucking Trump. But I was also thinking about her because it was Mother's Day recently, and she is along with my mother, one of the women who helped raise me when my mom was in a very hard circumstance early in my childhood and needed a bit of respite and time on her own. The three kids would be driven all the way from Boulder, Colorado, all the way down to Albuquerque, New Mexico, to Española, actually, to Española. It's near Kirky, and I remember it as Kirky because that was the television station that we got at the time. And I, as I have mentioned, was a latchkey kid. Again, hence the TV theme songs that we're doing until there's something appropriate happening here. So my tia, uh, bless her, she was one of the two women who raised me. She taught me so much, and her second relationship really was relationship goals for me. She met somebody later in her life named Mike Sandoval, and they had a beautiful romance. They never were married, they never did live together, but they were side by side. You couldn't, they're inseparable from the moment that I was aware of them. They were always with each other at one or the other's place, and because there was enough space and there was enough graciousness, and they had both been through marriages or relationships before, and this was a seasoned couple. They knew to give each other grace and patience, and they were always excited to see each other. And the look of love in Mike's eyes and in my Tia's eyes, like, it was incredible. This is the woman who she helped drive me to college when I first went to Earlham College in Richmond, Indiana. Story for a whole nother day. When I stowed away on a ship to go to Alaska to work on the fisheries, because I thought I was going to make a whole bunch of money the summer after high school, and I ended up there in the biggest then at that point strike in the history of Alaska's canneries, and they were shooting and murdering scabs. Then it was bad. We'll get there a different time again. She was the one who bought me a plane ticket home that I never ended up having to reimburse her a dollar of. She was my everything. She was my light. She was my love. In her earlier relationship, it was not a healthy relationship. It did start from a place of deep, deep love. My Uncle Rudy was a rough guy. He was a rough guy like a lot of rough guys who were in the armed forces. And for a lot of people who ended up working at Los Alamos, at the very place where the triggers for nuclear arms were made. And nobody that I am aware of who worked there or around there or in proximity didn't end up with cancer, including he. It was rough. It was rough. And one of the places that my Thea found respite was at the bowling lanes. She and my cousin, who was a grifter, is a grifter and a bit of a scoundrel and a biker and all the things. They you couldn't tell them anything when they were bowling together when my Thea was alive. And trophies I'm talking about. I'm talking about her own ball, her own several sets of her own shoes. I don't know what she bowled. I think she bowled somewhere around a 220 on average. 300 was not 3 to 500 was not out of the possibility of things that happened in her lifetime. I at an average of about 144, 180 for a great game would be seen as a chump of a bowler in her life. And anyone who's gone bowling with me knows that I am dead serious about it. I'm funny about it, man. It's like I got my form. Are you kidding me? I know what the little arrows on the field are for, right? So I've hit a 710 split in my life. Do you know what I'm saying? Y'all don't even know. I hit the funny pose. Yeah, ooh! I get the funny pose. I get the like way down in there, right? Like with the way down with the. Come on now, y'all don't even know. You don't know me, and so I'm from a family of bowlers, and was thinking about her because I was thinking about all the folks at Mother's Day. She was my second mother, and Mother's Day can be rough, right? Mother's Day for me was rough this year. My tia's been gone for some time. My mom now for the last couple of years. This is I believe, third Mother's Day that I couldn't really celebrate with my mom. Second without her on this earth, and I'm honored to have shared time on this planet with both of them, and they both taught me so much. But yeah, in particular, I was thinking of Thea and of all of us who were found liberation and freedom away from abusive circumstances, right? In our recreational activities that were away from the home, those things that we can no longer do. And Diaz was bowling. growing up. I was at the movies. I loved going to the movies from the time I was very, very young. I still love it, and the cinematic adventure of it all. And evidently now in Georgia, you can go bowling again. And I was thinking about that for a couple reasons. One of which is that the other thing I know about bowling, because I am a bowler, is that one of the things you got to do when you get there is to get the rental shoes. Now that there's lots of Lysol, there's lots of shoe spray, there's lots of cleanser involved. I would still say, and we do not know, there's no evidence that COVID-19 spreads through the foot. Okay, so I don't have an issue necessarily. I guess if you feel like you need to rent shoes from a public facility and it's open. If that, I guess. Another thing that you have to do soon after that, though, is you have to go and you have to pick your ball, right? And as you know, that means going to first, if you don't know your weight, you have to go choose the appropriate weight. Very few people do. And in particular, men and children both seem to have a habit of choosing the wrong weight and choosing a weight that is too great at first, too mighty at first. And so they will choose several balls, and they will when they're testing the weight before is necessary, begin also testing the holes. Holes 1 2 3 3 holes that in which go the fingers into ball after ball after ball after ball to find the appropriate weight. Now let's say that you were fortunate enough to have had the appropriate weight sought on the first go bout. Great. Not a problem. You got to get the ball, and you got to get the ball, and you got to get it, and you bowl, and you do your whole boo, and you do your whole bowl stance, and then the ball goes down under the lane and is going to come back into the rack where every other ball at your lane and the lane next to your lane, all of those balls are going to come together where everyone who is bowling, where they have also had their fingers in the ball. Now, the balls get sweaty. Hear me again. The balls get sweaty. And you're there fingering the sweaty balls. You heard me. Right? And I used that sound in particular because, and if you think I am exaggerating at this truth, there is literally a wind machine, like a hair dryer, right there, right? That doesn't have a heater in it, that you and blow your hand right before you grab your ball to go and give your. Now, to be clear, the hair dryer thing is taking air from around the bowling alley and breathing it in all over your hand right before you stick your fingers back in the holes. Now, the reason that my aunt was a bowler and the reason that I was a bowler, I learned to bowl. I was taught to bowl by my mentor, Dominic, when I was a child of about 8 years. And that's where I learned that funky ass 1970s form that I was just sharing with you. So, what I can tell you is this: the reason that bowling is dope is the accessibility, because that means that humans from ages 8, as was I, to their 70s, as was my tia, when she passed, can all go bowling together. And they do. The reason that the teenagers are there bowling, and the reason that the late teens in particular are there bowling, is because they are going to serve beer to them. And they are very, shall we say, liberal about identification if you have peach fuzz enough to grow something that can resemble a solid mustache with enough mascara. Now, I want you to just think through what might happen where fingers of 7 to 10-year-olds, 10 to 20-year-olds, their parents are all together fingering balls and eating finger food together. Onion rings, pizza, chicken wings. You're up. Oh, my bowl? Wait. Not once. You get 2 turns. Hold on, let me get an onion ring in between. Dip that in the dip in the shared ranch. Hold on, let me double dip that motherfucker. Lickety, lickety, lickety. Squishity, squishity, squishity. Bolity, bolity, bolity. Why the fuck is Georgia open, you assholes? That didn't help. That sound didn't help. Hey, okay, so the one last thing, and then I'm getting out of here. I know. So it does. You'll notice that on the thing that said I was doing this, I didn't say that we were. I was doing 20 minutes of the comedy and the culture and the bullshit anymore, because I've realized that I am quite the loquacious one. And the idea that I'm going to sit here and blather at you for but a wee 20 minutes is just not going to happen. I will promise you, though, that I have absolutely no intention of holding you hostage. You should run. You shouldn't be here. You shouldn't. You really should not. If you are here, I know what that means. You've run out of good shit to watch. And that's okay. That's all right. So have I. But thank you for being here. This is Smoke and Mirrors. I tried to be here. Mirrors. 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 I'm trying to say it correctly because I have to hear like the first 4 minutes of this back when I'm posting later. And I hear me say mirrors. And I hate it. This is Smoke and Mirrors. There is going to be a forthcoming fan page. When there is, I hope that you will, if you are getting notifications that this happens, continue to get the notifications. Also, all of the previous times that we spent this time together, those are going to be there too. And you can look at those, I guess, if you want to. You shouldn't, but if you want to reminisce about different parts of watching me have a mental breakdown on video and people respond to it, great. It'll be there for you. Please do. Please join that. That's going to be really, really cool. You're not going to see it for a minute. I've got some friends working on some things for it. And I am a Libra. I have an aesthetic. I don't like things ugly. To that degree, I also want to let you know there's proper sound equipment coming also soon. This sounds like shite. It's poop. Once that does happen, I will also transpose this into a podcast situation. So if you want to do audio only, you'll be able to do that. If you're on the fucking YouTubes, you're maybe looking at it there, you can do that there. If you're on the Facebooks, fine. I don't know. I'm going to figure out how to simulcast. Oh, I hate this part. Okay, so listen, here's the other thing. I'm never going to bogart, okay? Wherever you go, wherever you see this, wherever you don't see this, it's going to be free for you because I'm not that way. I know that Zuckerberg wants for people to start paying for these kinds of experiences. I think that's dumb. So I'm not going to do that. I've said that before, and people have said, "But wait, it's worth something to me." So if you feel that way, what you can do is you can put 5 on it. You're welcome to do that. That would be much appreciated. I promise you that any amount that you contribute to this venture is going directly to the venture, so that I can invest in it for you. I think that once this evolves from being sort of an everyday bullshit live cast scenario, and we have the means to move into more of the podcast circumstance and bring in some guests and shit like that, because the sound is better and it's not an embarrassment. Once we're able to do some of those things, then we'll have the opportunity to simulcast and do all of that. Right now, though, I'm not worrying about it. And in the meantime, fuck Zuckerberg. He doesn't get any of this. If you want to throw 5 on it, you should not. Don't. But if you'd like to, you can. Here are the places. You can send it to Cash App right here. That if these are too small, I'll read it too. This says $CK Wyndham. That's Cash App. If Venmo's your favorite thing, it's Carlos hyphen Wyndham, all small letters. If you're over there on the PayPal over there, then again, because I was asked, there's a whole PayPal account for the situation now, and that is just CK Wyndham, all small letters. Hey, thank you for being here and spending this time and validating either my insanity or my hubris or whatever the fuck this is. Yeah, and try not to be an accidental asshole while you're out there this week. I mean, you're gonna. Society evolves, and so everything that we think is cool now is not going to be later. I used to walk around in a t-shirt. There was a gift that I asked for featuring George Carlin's 7 Dirty Words. Let me tell you something. I'm not going to repeat them now, but at least 3 of those are off limits to anybody who is ever perceived in the gender form that I am. Okay, I'm not saying that that is my gender form. I'm saying that I am aware that I am often perceived as male. And so there are certainly 3 of the phrases on that list that no, my friend, no, 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 no. This has been Smoke and Mirrors. Thank you for spending some time. I appreciate that. I hope you appreciate the people around you and yourself and each other. I love you. Please go and wash your hands. Okay, bye.